Dr. Bilku himself is a very well-known, distinguished and respected person within the community of Nottinghamshire. And we are proud and honoured that he has now been bestowed with the prestigious title of the High Sheriff of Nottinghamshire. Can I thank you all on behalf of the Bilku family for attending today and being part of the ceremony. In years to come, when this occasion is talked about, you can say, I was there. So please enjoy the rest of the program. Can I now invite Deborah Hutchinson, the Under-Sheriff of Nottinghamshire, to commence the formal part of the ceremony. Thank you. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Main Gurdwara di committee nu te sari sangut nu sat Syria Kal. Gehenna Choni He. Lord Lieutenant, High Sheriff, both, distinguished guests, friends of jazz. As mentioned, my name is Deborah Hutchinson, and I am, for the next few moments at least, Under-Sheriff of Nottinghamshire. It is my historic task today to install Dr. Jaswant Singh Bilku as High Sheriff of Nottinghamshire. Historic because the office is the oldest post held under the secular post held under the Crown. Historic too because in nearly 1,000 years of Shrival history, Jas is the first Sikh to hold the office in this county. But who is a High Sheriff? And what is his role? I know a number of you here do know the answers, but please bear with me as I explain to those who are not quite so well versed. Let me take you back hundreds of years, back before even the founding of the Sikh religion, back to Anglo-Saxon England in the 900s, where King Athelstan, King Alfred's grandson, had emerged as the first king of all of England. The king needed help. He couldn't be everywhere. And we here see mention in records of a person, a seer Irifa. Seer meaning a share of land, and Irifa meaning an official. By the reign of Ethelred the Unready, Shire had become Shire, Irifa had become a reeve, and the Shire reeve became a sheriff. The king's men were in all his counties. For the next 200 years, the powers and responsibilities of the sheriff grew until all the local government were concentrated in his hands. He paid agreed dues to the king and was able to live in the principal royal castle in his shire, and he was able to farm his county for profit. Such police force as there was, he provided. When he raised a hue and cry, all the male subjects were bound to assist in pursuit of the thief, but only up until the county boundary, because that is where his authority ceased. As the courts became systemised under Henry II, it was the sheriffs who were required to gather or convene the county courts and bring accused persons before the travelling justices. He therefore was the custodian of arrested people, maintainer of the prisons, and also of the gallows, because it fell to him to ensure that the sentences were executed. This is the 800th anniversary of the Magna Carta, but that document wasn't all about King John. In fact, 27 of the 63 clauses were to do with sheriffs, and one of those clauses was to gather together the county barons, and when the early parliaments were summoned, it was the High Sheriff who actually had to select who was to go and sit, and it is reflected in his modern-day duties because the modern High Sheriff is the returning officer for the county, and it's why a High Sheriff cannot be an MP. Since the 1300s, however, the government developed and evolved, and the High Sheriff lost a lot of his personal initiatives, and the post lost its opportunity for profit as he became an agent to execute the royal orders. And in fact, it became a financial burden, and so that is why the custom of making annual appointments spread. And that brings us to today's ceremony, which has been handed down through the centuries to us. And today, the High Sheriff, because Jazz was pricked, his name was pricked by the Queen on the 19th of March, and today, to complete the ceremony, I would like to ask him to come forward. But his declaration is going to be made in the language of the Sheriffs Act 1887, and in the language of that age, he undertakes to serve the Queen, preserve her rights, levy her debts, serve and execute her writs, and execute the laws and statutes of her realm. Now, for the declaration to be official, it has to be witnessed by a Justice of the Peace, and Jazz has chosen Manjit Kaur Jones to officially validate the document. And I'm also going to ask His Honour Judge Stokes also to stand here and witness. And all that remains is for Jazz to listen to his declaration.
Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. I, Jaswant Singh Bilkhu, of 12 Yew Tree Close, Radcliffe-on-Trent, in the county of Nottinghamshire, do solemnly declare that I will well and truly serve the Queen's Majesty in the office of Sheriff of the county of Nottinghamshire, and promote Her Majesty's profit in all things that belong to my office as far as I legally can or may. I will truly preserve the Queen's rights and all that belongeth to the Crown. I will not assent to decrease, lessen, or conceal the rights of the Queen, and whenever I shall have knowledge that the rights of the Crown are concealed or withdrawn in any matter or thing, I will do my utmost to make them be restored to the Crown again. And if I may not do it myself, I will inform the Queen or some of Her Majesty's judges thereof. I will not respite or delay to levy the Queen's debts for any gift, promise, reward, or favour, where I may raise the same without great grievance to the debtors. I will do right as well to poor as to rich, in all things belonging to my office. I will do no wrong to any man for any gift, reward or promise, nor for favour or hatred. I will disturb no man's right, and will truly and faithfully acquit at the Exchequer all those of whom I shall receive any debts or sums of money belonging to the Crown. I will take nothing whereby the Queen may lose, or whereby her right may be disturbed, injured, or delayed. I will truly return and truly serve all the Queen's writs according to the best of my skill and knowledge. I will take no bailiffs into my service, but such as I will answer for. I will truly set and return reasonable and due issues of them that be within my bailiwick, according to their estate and circumstances, and make due panels of persons able and sufficient, and not suspected or procured, as is appointed by the statutes of this realm. I have not sold or let to farm, nor contracted for, nor have I granted or promised for reward or benefit, nor will I sell or let to farm, nor contract for or grant for reward or benefit by myself or any other person for me, or for my use directly or indirectly, my sheriffwick or any bailiwick thereof, or any office belonging thereunto, or the profits of the same, to any person or persons whatsoever. I will truly and diligently execute the good laws and statutes of this realm, and in all things well and truly behave myself in my office for the honour of the Queen and the good law and the good of her subjects, and discharge the same according to the best of my skill and power.
Thank you, Jazz. Now you need to put your name to the declaration. now remains is for you to say after me, I solemnly and sincerely declare,
I solemnly and sincerely declare,
this is my name and handwriting,
this is my name and handwriting,
and the contents of this my declaration
and the contents of this my declaration
are true.
are true.
Thank you. Would you like to sign this witness? Mary Belor Jasmine Bilku Nu Lak Vidanya.
Shukriya. Dhanyawad.
Now, the first duty, gets the rather tense bit, the first duty of a newly appointed High Sheriff is to appoint his under-sheriff, and he is absolutely free to appoint anybody. But the idea is that the under-sheriff should be rather more experienced than he, because it is possible that if he incurs the judge's wrath in his duties, he can be fined. And as someone who's actually held this post for 2 years and not incurred any fines so far, I'm wondering if that CV will stand me in good stead as I offer my services.
Deborah Hutchinson, would you be my under-sheriff for the coming year?
It would be my honour and my privilege. Thank you. It's also quite a relief because all the forms have been prepared with my name, so that's a bit of a relief. So the first one is actually the document that will go to the Queen's Remembrancer to officially say that... Now, the next one is the fact that now I'm duly appointed, I too have a declaration to make in exactly the same terms as Jazz has made. But as you've heard it all, and I've heard it all, I'm going to sign this, and it's all exactly the same. It is certainly legal, my lord. And I can solemnly and sincerely declare this is my name and handwriting, and the contents of this my declaration are true. Thank you. Now, the next document is a deed of covenant, so that I covenant with Jazz that I will do my best to uphold all the duties that you have heard us say that we will do during the year. And he will also indemnify me against any costs of my office. You'd like to sign? Is that Jazz? Now, as one High Sheriff year passes into the next, the outgoing High Sheriff has to hand over all the things that he was dealing with to the incoming High Sheriff, and there is a letter of attorney that I can present to the outgoing High Sheriff so that he can give me all the necessary information that I will need to carry on and make Jazz's year a success. So, again, Jazz, if you'd like to. And finally, in case Jazz is called away and there is a summons to attend upon the judges, I have this calling card that I can actually show to the judges so they recognise me and I can give service to them. So, Jazz, if you'd like to sign this calling card. Thank you. And that now concludes my part in the ceremonies, and as I call on Graham Cartledge to offer his congratulations to Jazz on his becoming High Sheriff, Sat Sri Akal.
The office of High Sheriff can at times seem remote and slightly outdated, but it does indeed have a relevance today, especially now in this time of austerity and cutbacks. There is much opportunity for the sheriff to recognise the good work being undertaken across the county, whether this be people in the judiciary, in the police, in the probation service, in the prison service, through volunteers, correction groups, local authorities, or charities. I have emphatically learned Nottinghamshire is not short of goodwill and community spirit. Throughout the year, I have been invited to a myriad of intriguing events where I've had the chance to meet some of the most inspiring people working tirelessly to help those in the county, perhaps less well off, the disabled and so on across the county. We're very fortunate in the volunteering groups that exist across our county. I've been able to draw attention to one or two particular organisations, such as Betel, the Drugs Rehabilitation Group, Positive Futures, our Trent Bridge group working with communities, and Maggie's Cancer Charity at the City Hospital, a charity which I hold dear to my own heart, my father having died of cancer many years ago. Overall, this has been, for me, one of my most exhilarating years. I was excited about the sport in the community mission I chose at the beginning of the year, and never expected how big it would become until the completion for the naming of the county's first city of football came around, and I was able to help in that competition and make Nottingham the most successful and become the city of football, for which we received a grant of over £1.6 million to help community sport in the county. My year has also coincided with many other highlights beyond the county and the city of sport. But this included, of course, royal visits. And we had His Royal Highness Prince Michael of Kent, Her Royal Highness the Princess Royal, visiting in the county, and probably for most of the ladies on this side of the room, the most exciting was the visit of His Royal Highness Prince Harry. And for many of the men as well, actually. He's a very nice man. But perhaps in my year, one of the most significant year was the centenary of the First World War. My own wife's grandfather died in that war, and it gave me a chance to remember so many people of this county who died during the war. Nottinghamshire played its important part, and I was humbled to have the chance to pay my respect both in the county but as well in Belgium, where I laid a wreath at the Menning Gate. These moments have made this role all the more significant and memorable. I will always assuredly think back, Jazz, on my year as High Sheriff most fondly. I have been incredibly honoured to have held this office and title, and I know, Jazz, you will be an exemplary High Sheriff, and I am very proud to have you, sir, as my successor. Good luck.
Vaheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji ki Fateh. Lord Lieutenant, honoured guests, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say a few words about my appointment, something about the charities I'll be supporting, and finally, I'd like to leave you with a small thought to take home. It is an honour and a privilege to be appointed the High Sheriff of this beautiful county, and I accept this honour particularly on behalf of my father, who sadly is no longer with us, but I know would be immensely proud, and my mother, who I'm glad to say is here today. They worked tirelessly as a team of two, devoting their life for the betterment not only of their own children, but of their wider family and the community at large. Now, I was reluctant to pick a theme for my year in office because I didn't want to declare it and then fail. But while I've been thinking about what I want to achieve, a theme of health and well-being has actually emerged. So with this in mind, I've appointed a health and well-being ambassador, Sue Cooper, for my year. Sue's not only a registered nurse, but in addition has acquired many other qualifications over the years. And Sue and I will be working together over several projects throughout the year and hope that we can make a small but significant difference to the health and well-being of this county. I'll also be working with some charitable organisations close to my heart, such as Age UK, who helped our family enormously with the care of our elderly parents, and another charity, Karma Nirvana, that's doing fantastic work to prevent domestic abuse and forced marriages. Now, this is a remarkable charity set up by a remarkable woman who was a victim of a potential forced marriage herself. She now works across the UK and last year brought about a change in the legislation of this country so that forced marriage is now illegal in the UK. For her work, she was awarded a CBE in the New Year's Honours List, and I'm delighted to say that Jaswinder Sanghera is here with us today. And I hope we can help her charity do more good work in the years to come. Now, with my medical background, I'll also be working as an ambassador for the Nottinghamshire Hospice and as a patron to the Marie Curie Foundation. As a member of the Nottingham West Lions Club, I'm supporting Project Lionheart, which helps Asians in particular to look after their cardiovascular systems. Now, I want to take this opportunity to express my gratitude and great admiration for the outgoing High Sheriff, Graham Cartledge, for the enormous contribution I know he has made to many communities and charities around the county in his year. His are not going to be easy shoes to fill, I know. Graham, thank you personally for your support and friendship over the previous year. Thank you. And good luck with your forthcoming holiday. I know with relief you're flying off tomorrow. Now, finally, when I was thinking of my installation ceremony in a Gurdwara, I chose this particular venue not only because of my friends and family worship here, but also because the history of this building spoke to me about transformation, change, adaptability, which I believe are some of the core qualities of happy and fulfilled human life too. You see, this building started life as a Methodist chapel in 1904 and served the Christian community for over half a century. When it became surplus to requirement for the Methodists, it accommodated various businesses and then opened its door to a totally different religion from a faraway land, i.e. Sikhism. The Sikhs took it over in 1991 and have transformed its infrastructure from being a derelict shell to the beautiful house of God that you see today. Now, the symbolism of this little story says to me that to survive and flourish, we don't have to give up our foundations or identity, but by being adaptable and open to change, we can adjust to our environment and integrate easily into the wider community and live a happy and fulfilled life. And Sikhs have a long tradition of doing just that, traveling around the globe and settling down without losing their physical form, but doing enough to adapt and integrate with the host community, making their own contribution to society and living peacefully with everyone around them. So with this little thought to take away, I'd like to thank every one of you for supporting me today. But my special thanks go to my Under Sheriff Deborah Hutchinson and the Gurdwara Management Committee, who've worked tirelessly to put this event together. Thank you all very much for coming, and I hope you enjoy the langar that's been prepared specially for you today.